It is November 5th at almost 9 p.m. and today I finished my first read for Nonfiction November, My Time Among the Whites, Notes from an Unfinished Education by Janine Capo-Cruzet. And it was a 5-star read. It was so good. I suspected that I was gonna like it, but I wasn't really expecting like a 5 stars. I was like, man, maybe 4, you know, I'm really gonna like it. But no, it was so good. I kept nodding my head throughout it and just really being able to connect with and relate to a lot of the things that she talked about. Even though she's a daughter of Cuban refugees, there are a lot of those same emotions that you feel when you have this pressure to sort of do good by your parents and do better than even their expectations, because they made all these sacrifices to move to this new country to give you and your siblings a specific better life than you maybe would have had you stayed in your home country. That I was really able to relate to. She talks about very interesting things that it just makes me think about when she gave the talk at I think at a Georgia or an Alabama university not long ago, where the white students felt, I guess, threatened by what she said and what she wrote. And or you know what, I don't even know if I can say what she wrote, but definitely what she said. And then they felt that they needed to burn her book. I feel like if they had really read and really opened their minds to what she wrote in this book, I wonder, I mean, no, ignorance is ignorance. And I mean, you really have to kind of be willing to step outside of it and learn from it. But there are just so many things. Like, she talks about the privileges that she has, and she talks about things like, you know, being white passing and the sort of whiteness that she's able to feel in certain places, and just like very Cuban, very particular things that she has experienced, just experiences that she's had growing up. And I want like someone who just wants to learn, and someone who is willing to take in everything that she said and grow from it and reflect on it. I mean, you wouldn't feel the need to burn her book. There are things in it that are meant to make you uncomfortable, but you have to sit with that discomfort in order to learn and to grow. And I mean, there was a lot of it that is a bit self-deprecating, because she's talking about all the things that she's had to learn and the things that she did in order to sort of be white and have a different life and a better life. And these are all things that I think would have just, you know, must have gone over the heads of the people who felt the need to burn her book. But this was amazing. It was magnificent. She talks about everything from academia to Walt Disney World, and the sort of escapism that it makes us feel. And it was great. It was magnificent. It's very short, so you can get through it if you're listening to the audiobook and you have time, definitely within a day. If you're a fast reader, definitely within a day. But if not, it really won't take you very long at all. I loved it very, very much. Hi guys, so it's like 20th of November and I have finished Becoming by Michelle Obama, and I loved it so much. I really loved having her narrate the audiobook for it. I thought it was so honest and so heartfelt, and I loved being able to see, I mean, obviously we know a lot about her, and we know a lot about their life together and their life in the White House, and we know kind of what we have seen in the news, and, you know, just having lived through their presidency. But it was nice to see it from the perspective of someone inside that dynamic inside that you know, most powerful family that a lot of people loved and a lot of people hated, and how that made what went through their mind and how that affected their family and their relationship. And I just thought it was so honest and so heartfelt that I loved it. It's one of my, I think, favorite nonfictions of the year. I'm so glad that I read it. I hate that I waited so long to read it, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad I did, because, you know, a lot of that sort of initial hype has died and I can just focus on it. But yeah, I loved it, and I've started The Good Neighbor by Maxwell, or Max something well. I'll show you guys later. My battery's about to die, but it's about Fred Rogers, and so far I'm really enjoying it as well. Hola guys, it is November 26th, and I just finished my third nonfiction November read, and I think it might be my last nonfiction November read, just because very, very unfortunate for me. The books that I had on my TBR for nonfiction November haven't become available, or have stopped becoming being available on Script, which is really, really unfortunate. The books that I had on my TBR that were available on there are no longer available, so I just finished The Good Neighbor, The Life and Work of Fred Rogers by Maxwell King, and it was so good. It was like so carefully done. I just got the sense that there's so much care put into this book, and so much respect put into this book. You can really tell how much Maxwell King respected Fred Rogers and admired Fred Rogers, and it never felt like, I think there is a tendency for us to maybe at times deify Fred Rogers, and I mean he was an amazing individual, but Maxwell King does reference, you know, he was a human. He had faults. He had very particular way of being, and that sometimes you know, made it difficult for those working around him to try and find out exactly what he wanted and what he needed, and but it was just so. It reaffirmed really everything that you can sort of, you either know or you can imagine of Fred Rogers, that he really was who he was. Like, that's who he was, like that in front of the camera, and he was like that with his family and with his friends and with his life. And you go back to his childhood and you see how he learned to give back just because of the way that his parents were, and you see the difficulties that he went through with like bullying and things like that, and how even from a young age he realized his privilege. He came from a very wealthy family, and at times he would even hide that a little bit, because he could see how that could be perceived, and he just wanted people to know who he was himself. And I loved it. It was a wonderful biography. I really recommend it if you grew up watching Mr. Rogers, or maybe your parents grew up watching Mr. Rogers. I mean, he did over 900 episodes. Then if you even just, maybe you didn't, but you've heard about him, and you've heard how magical he was, and how important he was to children and to children's television and to early childhood education and everything that he's done, you know, in Pittsburgh and how much he means to that community in that city, then I would really recommend it. It was absolutely magnificent. I kept pausing to tell Lewis like little tidbits of his life because he really admires Fred Rogers, and we really want to go see the new Tom Hanks movie, which has been getting good reviews, and it just looks like it was wonderful. It just looks wonderful, and I know that Tom Hanks is a magnificent actor, and he's very careful with his roles, and I know that he will. I have confidence that he will do justice to, you know, who Fred Rogers was, and sort of continues to be for many communities and for children and for a lot of us, you know. So yeah, that is the end of my sort of nonfiction November reads. I unfortunately only got 3, which is really sad, but hopefully I'll continue to read some nonfiction next month when the things become available again, and then I definitely am gonna make it a goal of mine to read much more nonfiction in the coming year. So yeah, I mean, I had 3 5-star reads. My Time Among the Whites, Becoming, and The Good Neighbor were all absolutely amazing, each in their own very specific way. I don't know what he's trying to do, but have a good one, guys. I hope you had a good and more successful nonfiction November than I did. I mean, numbers wise, because really 3 5-star reads is very successful. Sorry that I'm so dark, but it's, you know, I look a hot mess right now, and I'm not about to go step more into the light so you can see that. Have a good one as always. I love you guys very much.